Hi everyone, thank you for joining with me again on this session uh, to learn more about Jmeter. I'm Rohan, and in this session we are going to learn about how to use Jmeter and what are the different, you know, uh, sections are available in Jmeter. So by default, when we launch Jmeter, what happens is we get a test plan section screen. Um, Test plan is the whole framework of any of your test, which means like how you want your test to execute, what do you have to do. So this, you can give any name to this. So let's say test plan one or something. You could, this is, just give a comment. This is just a test or demo, whatever it is. User-defined variables is the section where you will be passing on all the parameters like, that you want to give input to the server and just we can learn it later on how to do it. Let's say this is where you add it, you can delete it, but this we can figure out later. Below section is how you want your test to run, how you want your thread groups to run. So run thread groups consecutively, one at a time, run tear down thread groups, shut down main threads, or functional test mode. Functional test mode means like it saves the response time as well as the sampler data, which you can, figure it out. So if you have a file where you're saving all these data points, what happens is at every test, it, that saves the data into file, and that file gets bigger and bigger, and definitely it, hampers the performance. So unless you're doing a debugging or you're identifying something, don't do that. Don't do it for stress testing at all. So as I said, the test plan is the main section of it's the main framework. So when you right click, you add threads, thread group. Threads is just the number of users that you want to execute your test. You tell JMeter that how many users you want to execute with, how you want to do it, and again, there are different ways of doing it. There are three settings. One is thread group, setup thread, tear down thread group. So let's talk about thread group. This is the basic one that people use. So thread group, again, you can give any name. It has a way of how you can execute this thread group. You know, then you want it in a continuous fashion, start the next thread loop. You'll get to know more when you will be, you know, looking into further videos and when you will proceed as per, uh, you know, it's needed and to get an understanding of JMeter. So start next thread loop is, how you want your next thread to come up. You have to stop, you want to stop the thread or so. Main basic properties for thread is, or the users is like you can define number of users, how the ramp up time is time that a user will, take to ramp up. Let's say you want 100 users ramp up in 200, ramp up time is 200 seconds. So it means like, one user will take 2 seconds to ramp up. Every 2 seconds, the user will ramp up. So till the time, till time when your 100th user will ramp up, it will be like, almost 198 second have already surpassed. So at 200 second, the 100 user will ramp up. So it will not start from one. You are telling that, okay, you can ramp up every 2 seconds a new user. So, you want to do 200, 2000, whatever you want to do, accordingly it will run. Let's not do that 100 or 200 here. Um, okay, loop count is the count number of iteration that you want this test to execute. If you put infinite, it will keep on running on stop, and then you can give the settings like same user in each iteration, delay thread or so. Okay, you want to delay thread until needed, then you can select that. We will learn everything. It's just a brief topic of all the sections. So again, in thread groups, we have sampler and logic controller. These are two important section, but let's talk about sampler first. Sampler is the kind of request that you want to pass in through. These are the different samplers that are available, right? Mostly it's HTTP that we have seen, and so let's take HTTP. So you don't get confused. But yeah, based on your application type, you can select any of the samplers. So let's take HTTP sampler, HTTP request. Sorry. You can give any name. Let's say test or whatever it is. It will take it's this is a demo, and once you click outside anywhere, it will take the same name like I said. And here is a protocol. You can give HTTP, HTTPS, whatever you can give it, and then you can give the server name if you know the server name, or you can give the domain name, whatever it is. Let's say I'll give um, you know just to test. This is a get function that we are not posting anything. There are different methods that you can use, but by default it is get because we are retrieving. We want to receive a response from this host. Now next is under thread group. This is the basic test that I want to execute with. So let's quickly execute it and just show you something. Uh, Go to the listener section. Listener is, it has a different set of attributes like view result tree by table, summary report, and a response time graph, save response to file, everything, and what happens is what you can do is simply add a listener to it. You can add a listener to a thread group or add a listener to this request. It will be added accordingly into the tree. So I'm adding it here so that whatever, if we have multiple requests here under this thread group, they all will be shown up in that listener. So this is the basic one. I'm taking view result tree, and then I'm taking also as view results, view results in table. Okay, so this will help me identify how my test goes, and I can view in a tabular format the results as well as in tree format, like in a branches and nodes, that how uh, the results happened or came out from that test. Okay, very simple. It's like very simple. We are just passing on this host, and we are just running to see that what response that we get. Let's run it quickly. Before running, I'll just show you that this green button is to execute the test. This save button is to save the file. This is to clear the results, and this is to clear all the results. So, let's simply go there, and it will ask you want to save the test plan or no or yes. It's up to you. I'm not saving it. We'll click on no. It will execute. It changed to stop. We can stop it from here. If you want to shut down, we can stop. It means like will stop right away. If I say shut down, it will shut down, in a ramp out fashion. So let's see what's happening here. Okay, so you can see here, I think I have selected here infinite, so that's why it's keep on going on and on. So let's look at the results. This is the request that I'm getting. I'm getting a proper request and response. You can see here, whatever the code is up there, it's coming up there. So let's stop it. You know. So when I say stop, it will show up this message that shutting down all the threads. So, it will take it some time so that it does not break up at the last user. So let's look into the table. This table format shows you the number of samples it ran, altogether, what's the number sent by it. It tells the thread group, how many thread group that we have executed. We have already executed. We only executed the first thread group, so it will show it like that. Then it will tell you that which all request, the test name, sample time, different time. Every time that, when you execute, what was the time for that response. This was the bytes sent and received. Then latency, if it was there any, then connect time. That's very simple. And let's see here. Response headers is there, request is there, sample request I'll show you here. If you want to see in a parse way, this is what we have been parsing here. And these are a different way that you can look at it. You want to look in the browser format, you can look in the browser way and see that if, the kind of test that we were executing. Let's see here. Request. Let's say here, this was the request and response. If I get it here, says 100% response header, response body. Let's see here. Yeah, this was the site that I was accessing it, and I got the response. So it means that our test is passed. But again, there is one more thing that we can add to this, which is I'll show you. You go to the thread group, you go to assertions and add a response assertion. Assertions is something that can validate our script that it's passing or not. So there are different kind of assertion based on your application, but it's a HTTP request. So we'll take response assertion, which will have these things like text response, um, response code, response message, response headers. We can choose any of these to and add an extra request to say that okay, want to see, we want to verify that if our test is correct or not. So let's say I take text response. So let's go back here quickly and see here what's let's say what performance. Let's say performance. Okay, let's pick up a performance word here, and what we are gonna do is performance. Gonna add it. Sorry, I think I added double. So that's it. We're gonna. So now you see that we clear all. It will clear all the results. So let's not do this infinite because it's gonna be a lot. Then let's do it for 5 iterations. That's max. I think it will help us. So again, I don't want to do anything. And let's see if we get anything. If we get any error or something, we'll get to see here. So as of now, I see that this response assertion has passed. Let's make a fail. All right, let's do the scenario where I can fail it up. So I add another assertion, which is response assertion itself. Or you want to do it in the same one, you can just add something like let's say Jmeter. Let's say something else, not Jmeter. Let's say happy world. I'm sure it's gonna fail. So let's clear all, run, and let's see that what our results will be. You see that it's failing, and if we go there, so the response is coming here, but why it is failing, it will show that we don't see the context happy world in all of it, right? So that's why it shows that here as response assertion as failed. So what I want to do is, to identify which response assertion is failing. So I'll just delete this from here and add one more assertion to it, and I can give any name to it. Let's say response assertion uh, to identify which one is failing or not. So let's say hello Jmeter, and my idea is to search the same thing in that, you know, URL or the server page where we are hitting, right? So it's gonna fail only the second one, not the first one, so that we can identify clearly what exactly is happening. So it already passed. Let's go there. So what happened here? Contain. Oh, I didn't delete it or what? Oh yeah, I think I deleted the wrong one, but let's do it quickly. Sorry about that. Performance, and that's it. Let's run it, and I'm sure this will clarify everything, right? So, okay, now it says response assertion second is only failing, which is correct because we don't have a hello Jmeter anywhere else. Okay, so this is all about running a very simple test on in Jmeter, just checking out what exactly The hit counts is what we learned here is how to make a hit to to any host or any IP or so. What are our assertions and listeners, the most common ones? How to look at how many threads we have to run, how and moreover, if what happens if we just run in an infinite fashion. And one thing we can do is let's quickly see how to do a ramp up test. And we're going to use 10 threads, and ramp up here is 100. So it means like every 10 seconds, one user is going to add up, and we can see everything here. So let me just, clear up this thing and delete or disable this one so that we just don't see that in our results as in failure. But let's do it quickly. So I started here. Hello Jmeter performance. Okay. Let's see. I don't want to save it, but that's it. So you see here now the ramp up. The user will ramp up here. So after 10 seconds, see the user ramp up. Now the user is already ramped up. Now it's waiting for the third user to being ramped up. After 20 seconds, again one user ramped up. And let's go to the table, quickly. And tree, you can see that the users are being ramped up every time. And how we can see that, the user ramping up is you see the thread group name 1-1, 1-2, 1-3. So Jmeter takes this notation when we use different users as in ramp up. So I'm going to show you right once it ends up, it will show up that how many users ramped up. And as I said, right, altogether in 100 seconds, all the 10 users will be in the system, and our test will stop then, based on what we have selected here, and which is, every user will run for 5 iterations. So let's see here where we are. So it should be altogether, a total of all the iteration that you'll see, and you see that all the results are being passed. This is the 9th user ramping up, and now the 10th one is up. So let's see, for 5th iteration, it has to go. It has done the 5th iteration, and you see that its test has stopped. And if you want to see, the results came out fine, you can look at any of this, and you'll see those results there. So I hope you understood, what is the basic of executing test, and we have covered a lot of things into this, like, what are the thread group properties, and what is assertions, and what is listeners, how to use it, how to do negative testing by checking that our results are coming up fine with the assertions or not. So this is very basic, but we will, in the next session, we will, add up few more things, and we will talk about two important sections, which is logic controller, and another, which is test under test fragment. The other one is script recorder, So that will be one of our more focused testing, but this is just, hitting the HTTP request, getting the response on that host. So I hope you have understood from this video how to create a basic simple test, and how to ramp up with the users, or how to do use a loop count or so. Again, if you have any questions, you can comment. You can leave a comment, and I'll respond back to you. Uh, Thank you. Have a good day.